Okay, Hare Krishna. So we'll start with chapter number 7. So the title of the chapter is Son of Drona Punished. So when we see the title, it doesn't mean that it will only speak about whatever is in the title, but what is the main content that proper titles the each chapter based on what is the main subject matter, what are the main uh, main subject or main pastime which gives us ultimate lessons to us, okay, which gives us more, no, which is predominant in that chapter. Okay, so now in this chapter, in the previous chapter, what happened? Narada Muni instructed Vyasdeva and left from there. Okay, and after that, uh, Sutta Goswami asked to Sukadeva Goswami,
Yes, Prabhuji. What did you do and adutar?
what did Vyasdeva do and Adhar. Okay, so when Sutta Goswami asked that, Sutta Goswami started saying that, no, then, oh, wait a minute. So after getting instruction from Narada Muni, what are the Vyasadeva's activities? How did, no, what did he do? No, so then Sutta Goswami started saying that, no, on the western bank of river Saraswati at Samya Prasha, there is a cottage meant for meditation where Srila Vyasadeva sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. So, if you see in every pastime, whoever gets Lord, very quickly, Lord darshan of Lord quickly, or the whoever makes uh, like no great, tremendous spiritual progress, are the one who are actually fully pleased their spiritual master, or who got the blessings of their spiritual master. If you see the pastimes of Narada Muni, Narada Muni, because he followed the footsteps of Bhakti Vedantas, Lord immediately reciprocated it to him by appearing in the heart of Narada Muni and instructing him personally, how he have to purify himself by performing more and more devotional service like that. And if you see, no, like even Vyasdeva or even any devotee, unless they get the mercy of Guru, unless like no, they get the mercy of another devotee, Lord will not easily uh, no, reciprocate with them. So then after getting the instructions from the Narada Muni, Vyasdeva sat in the meditation in Bhakti Yoga. It is said that in the fourth verse it is said Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak uh, Pranihite Amale. Hmm? So if we see some slokas in Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, whenever there is mentioned yoga, Prabhupada immediately says that this is Bhakti Yoga only, Bhakti Yoga only. But here in this chapter, in this verse, clearly it is mentioned Bhakti Yogena Manasi, means like he fixed, Vyasdeva fixed his mind in Bhakti Yoga. Hmm? So there are many yogas, right? There is Karma Yoga, there is Ashtanga Yoga, there is no Jnana Yoga, and there is Bhakti Yoga. So Narada Muni fixed in the process of devotional service. How? What is the difference between the other process and the Bhakti Yogi? Bhakti Yogi mainly depends on serving Krishna or pleasing Krishna or taking shelter of Krishna. So that is the role of a Bhakti Yogi. Bhakti Yogi, that's why the main impediment of in the process of Bhakti Yoga is false ego. So because Bhakti Yogi in the process of Bhakti Yoga, the advancement of the person depends on mainly on the mercy of the Lord. Mm. So if a person is egoistic or is if he is thinking I'm doing it and everything depends on me, he will be never be able to achieve the perfection in his life. So he has to take the shelter of either Krishna directly through the process of bhakti through his bona fide spiritual master. So, mm, so then, okay, this is giving the. So then Vyasdeva saw, like in his meditation, when he sat in the meditation, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his Maya. And he also saw how the living entities are bewildered by the he Vyasa in the vision itself, Vyasdeva saw how the Yogamaya is in full control of Lord. mm, and but the living entities are bewildered by the Maya. mm. So, bewildered by Lord's external energy means Mahamaya, consisting of three modes. The living entities are misidentify them himself as a product of matter and thus suffer. Okay, so Vyasdeva saw the Supreme Lord and his illusory potency in his meditation. Then he also saw the suffering of the conditioned souls and the cause of their suffering, that is, their bodily illusion or external energy. The remedial measures are suggested in the next verse. Okay, so what are the what is the remedial measures, that are the sufferings of the it is said that in this verse, anartho pashamam sakshat bhakti yogam adokshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. So he says the suffering of the living entity can be directly mitigated by the process of bhakti yoga, but the people do not know this. Therefore, Vyasadeva compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what Sutta Goswami is saying. When Vyasadeva saw this, mm, the all miseries of conditioned souls can be easily mitigated by the following the process of Bhakti Yoga. Because if you see the vision of Vyasadeva, Lord is there, and Lord is fully controlling Maya, and the living entities are fully controlled by Maya and they're suffering because of their false identification. Only solution for the living entities to get free from their Maya is they directly take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, who is the controller of Maya, and then due to their enlightenment in bhakti, or they when they dedicate themselves in the process of bhakti yoga or devotional service, then they will be easily get out of the clutches of Maya and then attain the perfection of life. But the living entities in general, that no, at that point of time, they were so much bewildered because there were Vedas, there were Upanishads, Puranas, and the different yagyas, yagas, and there are different varnas and ashramas, and there are different prescribed rules and regulations are prescribed duties for each and every person in different uh, based on their situation, and they were bewildered how to get out of this material entanglement. So, and Shaunaka Rishi is giving all time solution. He's saying just performing the process of bhakti yoga, one can be free from any stage, no, from right from brahmachari to sannyasi or grihastha vanaprastha. He can be any of he can be brahmana, vaishya, kshatriya, sudra. He can be any person, anybody in any stage or any, even in animalistic life also. When when that person takes the shelter, or when that person takes the process of bhakti yoga, he can be easily elevated. mm. So, and sorry, Suta Goswami also glorifies the Bhagavatam. He says, no, Yasyam Vaishruyamananam Krishne Parama Purushe Bhaktirutpatate Pumsa Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. He says, by giving the oral reception to Bhagavatam, the feeling of bhakti sprouts up and extinguishes the lamentation, illusion, and fear in the human beings. Okay, so that is the ultimate solution. Mm. Just by oral reception, just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can be easily get freed from lamentation, illusion, and fear. Okay, so that's why, for the benefit of everybody, all the human, all the living entities, Vyasdeva wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam. And after saying this, Vyasdeva, in his vision, he actually got the he already has the knowledge, because he only wrote all the Puranas, all the Upanishads, and all the Vedas, right? So he has the knowledge, but he also has the blessings of Narada Muni, and he also has the vision of Lord Hari, and finally he actually a conceived, he actually got the Srimad Bhagavatam in his heart, okay, but he didn't write it on the script at that point of time. Mm. So Sutta Goswami says that no, Vyasdeva then he instructed Srimad Bhagavatam to Shukadeva Goswami. Mm. So when Sutta Goswami said that Vyasadeva instructed Srimad Bhagavatam to Sutta Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami, then the Shaunaka Rishi, he actually raised a question. He says, Shukadeva Goswami is already, is in the, is a, Brahman realized soul. He's already self-realized, in the path of self-realization. uh, and he is indifferent to everything and self-satisfied stage. And why he has to again read Srimad Bhagavatam? Because, it is like, if you already have a, uh, like, if you already have a PhD degree, then why you again have to go to college and again do masters like that? That is the conception of this Shaunaka Rishi. But Sutta Goswami says that now by quoting a verse, no, Atma Ramasya Munayo Nirgrandapi Urukrame Kurvanta Haitu Kim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Guno Hari. Hmm? Shukadeva Goswami says this process of bhakti, or the Srimad Bhagavatam, even liberated souls hmm, are attracted to the transcendental qualities of Lord Hari and desire to render unalloyed devotion service to him. Mm. If you take the life of four Kumaras, four Kumaras by birth they were Brahman realized, by birth they were Jnanis. Mm. And when they actually went to Vaikuntha Loka and they smell the tulasi leaves which are offered to the feet of Lord Hari, they become ecstatic and they never experience such a pleasure in their Brahman realized state. And from that time onwards, they left off this Brahman realization and they become the devotees of Lord Hari. So in the same way, Shukadeva Goswami is also by birth he is a liberated soul, but still we already discussed, right, how Vyasdeva through his disciples he actually uh, introduced Srimad Bhagavatam to Shukadeva Goswami, and Shukadeva Goswami became like he took Srimad Bhagavatam. He actually after listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, he become a devotee of Krishna. So even the liberated soul, there is no person who is fully who is completely perfect, or who is there is no perfection stage in bhakti. Okay, if you see the topmost devotees to the neophyte devotees, they are still, everybody is in work in progress only. Like they might be they might be first class devotees or madhyama devotees, uttama devotees, but still everybody is always engaged in the process of devotion service. There is no end for the process of devotion service. That's why the bhakti is said that the means and the goals are the same. Means, what is the means? Like our goal is to achieve devotion service, and what is the process, what is the means to achieve that goal is to again perform devotion service. So even when somebody when Prabhupada came to America, and somebody asked Prabhupada, after chanting, or after chanting for so many years, what is your goal to, what is your goal to achieve, what are you planning to achieve through this process of devotional service, or what is your goal that you want to achieve through the process of chanting? And Prabhupada simply replied that we want to chant more, that's it. Means, he says, in any stage of life we will be doing the same devotional service only. Even if you will be doing all the japa meditation, artis, and all the seva or cookings, in this lifetime here. But even if you go after to the spiritual world also, you will be doing the same activity there, under the guidance of your spiritual master. So this relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple, and relationship between the Krishna and the devotee, it is eternal, because it is from the beginning. Uh, it is like, somebody is a bhakta and Bhagavan, somebody is getting rendering service, and somebody is taking service. This relationship will remain eternally, and both of them are fully satisfied in their constitutional position. That is the sweetness of bhakti. So that's why other process may or may not uh, lead to the goal, but the process of devotional service, once you start, you will never lose. So after no he says, no, then Vyasdeva conceived, like Vyasdeva got this Srimad Bhagavatam in his meditation in the process of Bhakti Yoga, and then he gave it to Shukadeva Goswami. Then this until this point of time, Sutta Goswami answered question number one. What is that question number one? About the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. And now Sutta Goswami moves on to the question number two, no, about Maharaj Parikshit, why Maharaj Parikshit was cursed, no, like that. So, in order to explain that, here Sutta Goswami starts from the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. Hmm? Sukadeva Goswami said, no, like how after the end of Kurukshetra war, no, then when the Pandavas they won the battle, they killed Duryodhana. The Bhima actually broke the thighs of Duryodhana, and literally they thought that Kurukshetra war is over from that point of time. So then, when Pandavas came back to their no, war camp, means where they stay in the battle, like now, if it is when the war is going on, they will be staying near camps in the nearby camps, right? So when they arrived there in the camps, Krishna told to five Pandavas, no, he says, no, you actually won the battle now. Now it is a custom, no, that one should actually sleep in the enemy camp. And you all find, we all, no, you all five Pandavas and me, we will go and sleep there in the Pandavas camp, and rest of all can sleep here only, like that. He says that. And they all goes and sleeps in the camp of Duryodhana. So at that night, what happens? This Ashwatthama, he was very much aggrieved because how they lost, and Ashwatthama was in a strong feeling that, no, these Pandavas have cheated, and through cheating they killed my father. Through cheating only they killed Duryodhana. Through cheating only they killed Karna. And means he actually contemplating that, no, these Pandavas are won this battle, are winning this battle by cheating only. So he actually goes to Duryodhana. Duryodhana was, he was on the bank of a pond with his thighs broken, like Bhima breaks his thighs, and he was at the verge of death. No? And he goes to Duryodhana and says, no, and when he meets Duryodhana, Duryodhana says, you can take revenge on my behalf, and I make you the commander of my armies. And Duryodhana makes Ashwatthama the commander of his armies, and he says, "You kill all the five Pandavas. That's what I can. If you want to repay me, or if you want to do some favor to me, that would be the greatest favor that you can do to me, because that much hate he had in his life. He cheated the Pandavas throughout his life. Even the Pandavas were all tolerant, and they actually tolerated all the insults, and they did this 13 years of Aranyavas and Agnatavas. Still, Duryodhana has so much enmity towards that Pandavas. So, so due to this Krishna's arrangement, the Pandavas were sleeping in the camp of Duryodhana. So now this Ashwatthama, he actually was contemplating how to take revenge on the Pandavas. Okay, and he was sitting underneath the tree, like maybe he was thinking like tomorrow morning we will go and face them in the battle. So at that point of time, like there was a nice story actually, like one owl, it was all the birds in a tree under which Ashwatthama and Krupacharya and I think one more warrior. So they were staying underneath the tree in that night, and one owl, it started going into each nest and started killing all the birds on the tree. Mm. And because the owl can see in the night and other birds cannot see, owl was able to kill all the birds in the tree. So looking at this, Ashwatthama got an idea. So he thought, na, that best way to kill all the Pandavas is in the night only when they are sleeping. That way we can finish the job without much trouble. So he took the help of Krupacharya and I think it's not Jayadratha, some other warrior. Like, only three main warriors were there. Okay, so they goes there and he asked them to stand at the entrance, and he says, no, anybody who is running away, you can shoot them off down. Mm. So he goes into the Pandavas camp, and he actually takes a knife, and then he started cutting everybody. Now he started in their when they're sleeping. As per the rules and of the war, one should not actually attack or kill a person who was sleeping or who was inattentive or who is tired. Okay, so Ashwatthama started killing the persons who even when they are sleeping. So so he finally went into the Pandavas tent, and then he saw 5 persons laying there, and he killed all the 5 persons and he beheaded them, and he brought all their heads to the Duryodhana. And Duryodhana sees that heads, and he touches that heads and says, these are not Pandavas, these are very soft. So and when some light was brought there, and it was recognized that these are the sons of Draupadi. Draupadi has 5 sons from the 5 Pandavas. So Ashwadhama, instead of killing the Pandavas, he killed the sons of Draupadi. So, and this doesn't please Duryodhana also. He says, no, my lineage is gone, and all my brothers are gone, and all my sons are gone. Now you have killed all the sons of my brother Pandavas also. So, in so it is the destruction of my entire family only, because there is no successor for our race, for our what you call Kuru dynasty. So he actually he was very much displeased with the act of Ashwatthama. So when it happens in the morning, when Pandavas comes and sees that everybody in the tents were killed, and everybody in the camp of the Pandavas were killed, mm, and they started contemplating who is the person who killed it, and finally Krishna reveals that it is Ashwatthama who did all these things. So if you see clearly, Krishna knows that what is going to happen. That's why he promised Arjuna. If you see in Bhagavad Gita also, he promises Arjuna that except you 5 Pandavas, everybody in this uh, battlefield are already killed by me. So you just be nimitta matra and then act according to your uh, act and take the glory. So when Ashwatthama actually killed, then Draupadi comes there and she started crying, and she, like when seeing the what you call pitiable condition of Draupadi, Arjuna makes a says that, no, I will bring the head of that Ashwatthama, and you can actually take bath by, after burning, after cremating your sons, you can take the bath by standing on the head of that Ashwatthama. So he says that, and he started going towards, he started chasing Ashwatthama. So when Ashwatthama, along with Krishna, Arjuna was going after Ashwatthama. So when Ashwatthama saw that Arjuna is coming to take revenge on him or kill him, he actually uh, started fleeing away. And he saw, when realized that his horses are tired and he was about to get caught, what Ashwatthama does, he actually throws a Brahmastra towards Arjuna. So actually, this Brahmastra were so specific that they will destroy whoever they are targeted upon. Okay, so when Arjuna sees that Brahmastra is coming towards him, he actually gets frightened. He says, "What is this happening around me?" And he says, "No." He offers some prayers to Krishna and says, "What? How? Please, you are the protector of your devotees. What is this? How can I get out of this calamity?" When he says that, Krishna, in response to Arjuna's prayers, Krishna says, "This is the Brahmastra that is thrown by Ashwatthama." So, and he doesn't know how to retrieve it back. So, and Arjuna asks Krishna, "What is the way then to get out of the situation?" Then Krishna says, "Only the thing that can retract the Brahmastra is to throw another Brahmastra at it." So Arjuna, upon the advice of taking the advice of Krishna, he circumambulated Krishna and then he actually throw a Brahmastra against the Brahmastra which is going to attack him. So this collision of two Brahmastras is creating a destructive situation for the entire universe. So when it happened, and all the sages and all the great personalities of the universe, they come and reprimands Ashwatthama and ask Arjuna to retrieve both the Brahmastras. So so Arjuna uh, here, like obeying their order, he actually retrieves both the Brahmastras. So you may ask, no, you can Arjuna could have directly retrieved another Brahmastra, like Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama. Why he was not able to do that? No, like here, first Ashwatthama threw the Brahmastra, and then Arjuna threw another Brahmastra against the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama. So, but instead of directly retrieving the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama, Arjuna has to put one more Brahmastra against the Ashwatthama's Brahmastra is like the Asras also, they have life. No, they can realize that if it can defeat or if it cannot defeat. So when the Astra realizes that if it cannot reach its target, then it will become subdued. So when it becomes subdued, it is easy to retrieve it back. Okay. So if you see that some Astras are there, some kind of Astras, like some Astras, if they are not able to, no, uh, if they are not able to destroy the target on which that person has, that archer has targeted it, it will come back and attack this person only. So because you have miscalculated, you have because you don't know which astra has to do on what. Okay, so that's why. So then when the situation happened, then Arjuna retrieves both the Brahmasas back. Okay, and then Arjuna captures Ashwatthama and then takes him back to the Draupadi. So if you see the situation in Kurukshetra war, the Kauravas has 11 Akshohinis of army and the Pandavas has 7 Akshohinis of army. And but if you see the Atirathis and Maharathis in on the both sides, the Pandavas has more of Atirathis and Maharathis. No? But the Kauravas has more in number of the soldiers and Akshohinis of Sena. So one may say that then if it is a situation, then Pandavas can easily win because the Atirathis and Maharathis can fight with many Akshohinis of war, no, Akshohinis of armies. But it is not the case because there are so many hidden dangers also, so even if we do all our endeavors perfectly in our life to achieve something, there might be so many things that we cannot uh, take into consideration. For example, in the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna has saved Arjuna in many instances. Like if you say from the beginning, like one time, like Bhishma Dev, he was about to kill Arjuna. At that time, Krishna intervened, and one time, Krishna Bhishma Dev gave five powerful arrows to Duryodhana. That in the tomorrow morning, that I'm going to kill with these five arrows. These five arrows are empowered by my energy. That it won't, if it will never miss the target. So I'm going to use these five arrows and then going to kill the five Pandavas. So Krishna has sent Arjuna to get the five arrows from Bhishma Dev. So as a uh, like uh, like that is a different story. And in another case, like that the Abhimanyu's case, Jayadratha was responsible for the killing of Abhimanyu, and Arjuna has vowed that if I'm not able to kill Jayadratha, I will enter the fire and end my life. So again, in that case also, Krishna has to create some illusory energy, and so that Jayadratha will come out without protection and get killed by Arjuna. So, and after killing Jayadratha also, Jayadratha has a benediction from his father. Whoever actually kills Jayadratha, whoever makes his head fall down on the ground, he will instantly die. Mm. So, and Krishna says that don't let that head fall down, and you have to, make that head fall down in the lap of Jayadratha's father only. So he uses Pashupata, Arjuna uses Pathashra, and then makes the head of Jayadratha fall in the hands of Jayadratha's father. And Jayadratha's father, who was in meditation, when a head falls in his lap, he was out of, what do you call, uh, shock. He actually throws that head off the ground, and he dies. He also dies. So that is another like third way where Krishna saved Arjuna, and also Krishna saved Arjuna from the Shakti weapon given by Indra, and also the Nagastra uh, thrown by the Karna, and also so there are many like no like there is an instance where like Arjuna and Yudhishthir gets into some kind of verbal thing, and they were about to end their life. So there also Arjuna saves Krishna. Sorry, Krishna saves Arjuna. So from this example, from these all instances, what we can do is we might be perfect in all our life. We might be materially well situated, but there are many things that we cannot handle. So, but if Krishna is on our side, or Krishna, if we take the help, if you if we are under the guidance of Guru and Krishna, then we will be easily able to cross over all these obstacles. That's why Krishna says that, right? I will protect whatever my devotees have, and I will provide whatever they lack. Okay. So after after Arjuna brings Ashwatthama to the palace, then in the palace, Draupadi says that no, he is the son of our guru, and because of Dronacharya only, you are all able to become so much of well accomplished warriors, and because of him only, we are all able to achieve so much of success in your life. So you just spare his life. He says like that, and she she wants Ashwatthama to be released. Mm. So, and when Draupadi says that, Yudhishthir and all other Pandavas and also accepts that, and that it is true that we have to release, you have to let him go. But Bhima, who was present there, he became enraged upon the proposal of Draupadi. He says this Draupadi is out of her mind. He says no, because Prabhupada also writes, because Draupadi is considering that Ashwatthama is a Brahmana, and killing a Brahmana is a sinful thing. But Prabhupada writes Draupadi is not very intelligent, because like a Brahmana is not by birth, because Draupadi is considering that Ashwatthama is by birth Brahmana. Hmm? Prabhupada writes in the purport that Draupadi is consideration that Ashwatthama is a Brahmana is not bona fide. He says that Brahmana by birth everybody is a Sudra. No? By their actions, by their character, one becomes a Brahmana. Okay, Guna and Karma. So Bhima comes forward and says, "You kill this what do you call offender? What is the word for that? What is so there are no, I'm not getting the word there. He says the person who is not eligible, who can be killed is there are different kinds of persons who can be killed. No, who is the who should not be killed, like no, a person who are careless, who are not intoxicated or insane, who are sleeping, who is a boy, or who is a woman, or who is a foolish, hmm, or who is surrounded, and or who is without a chariot, or or fearful. Enemies cannot be killed by a knower of religion. Hmm. But this Ashwadhama has violated that principle. Oh, sorry, that word is aggressor. Okay, so the aggressors are the persons who actually uh, steals the wealth or kills the kills who is or kills the child or uh, kidnaps one's other's wife. So such kind of aggressors has to be killed. So Bhima was very much in support of killing. Mm. So now Krishna goes and tells Arjuna that no, as I said, you have to kill Ashwatthama. Then Arjuna says, I would don't like to be like him to be killed. Then Bhima says, then I will kill him. So that everybody stops Bhima, and Krishna himself he manifests into 400 forms and stops Bhima and consoles Draupadi and Arjuna and says, it says to Arjuna, you act in such a way that you satisfy Bhima, you satisfy Draupadi and you satisfy me. Means like what is Draupadi is saying to forgive and release Ashwatthama, and Bhima is saying to kill Ashwatthama, and Krishna first he said you kill Ashwatthama, and later on he said okay you don't have to kill also, but you can rethink about it, like that Krishna is saying. So when this is a test which Krishna kept for Arjuna. So so then Arjuna understands the mind or understand the heart of Krishna, and he says what he does, he takes his knife and then he shaves the head of Ashwatthama, and he also removes the jewel. Ashwatthama has a jewel on his forehead, it has from his by birth. Okay, and he actually severs the jewel also from his forehead. And Ashwatthama becomes so much of he lost all his luster, and he lost all his um, so Ashwatthama lost all his body luster due to the infanticide, balahatya. Okay, and his strength due to the loss of his jewel. Okay, and Ashwatthama was unbound and is driven away by the from the camp. Okay, so Arjuna he just shaved off his head and took the jewel from his forehead and then drove him off from the palace. So thereafter, the Pandavas and the Draupadi, overwhelmed with the grief, perform the proper rituals for their dead relatives. Okay, so after releasing the Ashwatthama, they they let Ashwatthama go, and then the Pandavas performed the last rite for the dead sons of Draupadi and his and their other relatives. So that is the end of this chapter. If you have any questions or comments, you can take here. You're listening?
Yes, Prabhuji. Listen.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, no questions
Thank
at
you,
all.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Lenny.